All right, so you guys have now watched the video about perspective. I'm going to do a few drawings here, and you guys are going to be turning in each of these drawings. So the first thing we're going to do is with perspective, there is, and the drawing especially, first of all, to explain why we're all doing this, perspective is clearly used in art, as you guys have learned from watching that video. If you haven't watched the video yet, you should go back and redo the assignment for last week. It's only a 30-minute video. You can complete it and still get half credit for it. And also you kind of learn general kind of concepts of what is perspective and why we do perspective. Clearly it gets used in art, and that is true. And so my art students will be doing this because it's an art project. My TEA students are doing this because the A in TEA stands for art, first of all. Second of all, understanding perspective is important because it's important to understand how people visually see things, so that when you later on you're working on a drawing and you're creating something and you need to create a drawing, it is important that you understand how to draw something well, so that people, when they look at it, they see it and it makes sense to them. Okay. Now with perspective, there are three different ways of drawing in perspective. One is called one-point perspective, then there's two-point perspective, and three-point perspective. The most common perspective is two-point perspective. The most commonly, if you look at something, most of the time you see something, you see it in two-point perspective. But sometimes it's really obvious that you're looking at one-point perspective. We're going to go ahead and start with one-point perspective. Whenever you're drawing a perspective drawing, the first thing you need to do is establish a horizon line. The most obvious place in the world where you're going to see a horizon line, I'll draw a horizon line on here. It's just a straight line. But for the purposes of our drawing, it is parallel to the top of the board, or the top of the paper. By the way, I'm using, this is printer paper. If you don't have printer paper, you are welcome to do this on lined paper. You're welcome to use whatever paper you can find around your house is fine. For those of you who are in my art program, I provided you with, I believe, 10 sheets of this computer paper, so you should be working with that paper. This line you see here is the horizon line. The most obvious place to look at the horizon line in reality is standing on a beach, because we have the beach here. Well, we have the beach back here, we have the water, and then we have the sky. Where the water meets the sky, that's the horizon line. And the horizon line is based on where your eyes are. If you tip your head up or down, the horizon line is going to move. Okay? So this is a horizon line. And with one-point perspective, we're going to establish a single vanishing point. This is called a vanishing point. This is a horizon line. You should learn this technology. Now, the most common thing that the thing that just pops into my head that everybody can relate to, and I'll draw these dark. I'm going to switch pencils to draw darker lines. For those of you in art, you've been provided with 3 pencils. 2 of them are like this one, which is a 2HB pencil, and one of them says hard on it. It's a hard lead. Hard lead is going to draw a lighter line. So this is train tracks receding into the distance. Now, I should be doing a better job of this, but one way or the other, they will get closer and closer and closer to each other as it goes back into the back. This is the most obvious vision of what one-point perspective, where one-point perspective is obvious. You're standing on train tracks, you're looking off, they go off hundreds of miles into the distance, or it could be a road, it could be a street, it could be whatever. But as it goes off in the distance, it vanishes to a single point. Okay, one-point perspective. For your one-point perspective drawing, I'm going to want you to draw your horizon line, and I'm going to use the hard lead pencils. So those of you in the art class, I want you to use the hard lead pencil whenever you're drawing things that you might be erasing later on. Okay, so for most of your work in the art class, if you're not in the art class and you don't have a hard lead pencil, don't bother going out to the store to buy one. you can just be using a regular number 2 pencil. But those of you in the art classes, I expect you to be using your hard lead pencils for all of the lines that you might want to erase later on. Okay, so I have a horizon line, which is in the middle of the paper, is what I want you to do for the drawing. You guys are going to be turning in a 1-point perspective drawing. There's a horizon line in the middle, and there's a vanishing point directly in the center. And we're going to draw boxes. Okay, so we're going to talk about 1-point perspective. In 1-point perspective, this surface right here is squared off to your eyes. It's not rotated in either direction. It's square to the eyes, and I'm trying to square myself off to the camera. Okay? From this perspective, when I put it directly in front of the camera, you should see only the front. Okay? You can't see the sides, you can't see the top or the bottom, because you're looking at it straight on, and it's a rectangular object. If I move it over to this side, you can now see the front and this side. If I move it over this way, you can now see the front and this side, but you still can't see the top or the bottom. However, if I bring it up here, now you can see the front, you can see this side, and you can see the bottom. If I bring it directly in front of you, like it was here at eye level, and I brought it up, now you can see the bottom, but you can't see the sides. Bringing it over here, once again, 3 sides. 1, 2, 3 sides that you can see. But in all of these situations, no matter where I put it, I'm keeping this surface squared off to your shoulders. Okay, so now that you see what I mean when I'm talking about 1-point perspective, I'm going to draw a box directly in front of my eyes in 1-point perspective. That is a vertical line. It is parallel with the side of the paper. A horizontal line is parallel with the horizon, or the horizon line. I'm going to draw another horizontal line and an additional vertical line. And just like that, I have drawn a box in 1-point perspective. This is as if you're looking straight at the box on one of the sides. Now I'm going to take this box and I'm going to lift it up over my head. And I can still see the face of the box. I have a vertical and then a horizontal and a vertical and a horizontal. And actually I should be overdrawing these lines. Okay. Now this box, because it's up over my head, I would see the bottom of the box. So that's where I'm going to start drawing the vanishing lines. And I've drawn 2 vanishing lines from the bottom, these 2 corners right here. And because I'm also going to be able to see the back of the box, I'm going to need to draw 1 more horizontal line. Okay. Now I've done all of this with the hard pencil. Those of you with the hard pencil, it should be very easy to erase this hard lead. Which is why I recommended just drawing the line all the way to the vanishing line, because it's going to disappear. There we go. Okay. Now, this is the box. This is the box lifted over my head. If I bring the box down below my head, so I'm going to draw a couple of vertical lines, a couple of horizontal lines, and I made the front of the box. I'm going to draw a couple of vanishing lines. Now I'm intentionally not pushing down hard on my pencil. I'm doing that because I want to make sure that I can erase those later. And then I'm going to draw 1 more vertical or horizontal line. And then I'm going to erase the extra lines that I don't need. And now with this box that's up over my head, I can see the front of the box, I can see the bottom of the box, see the front of the box, the top of the box, and this one I can just see the front of the box. Now, if I move it up and to the right, I'm going to be able to see the front of the box, the bottom of the box, but I'm also going to be able to see the right side of the box. So for that one, I'm going to start the same way I did all the others. I'm going to draw 2 vertical lines. 2 horizontal lines, making a nice square. Then I'm going to draw 3 vanishing lines. I'm going to put my pencil down where I want to start, put my ruler down, I'm going to line it up, I'm going to draw my line. This time I'm going to not go all the way to the vanishing point because I'm tired of erasing so much of my original box. But I'm definitely going to line it up and then draw that direction. One, 2, 3 vanishing lines. Then I need to draw a vertical line and a horizontal line to complete my box. And now I can erase the extra. Okay, I'm going to complete this with what I want you to do for your assignment without a lot of talking at this point, and I'll fast forward for you. Okay, so now I've drawn all 9 boxes, and I have some of the work that needs some lines that I can easily erase, because either you drew it with a hard pencil or you drew it as lightly as you could. Those of you who don't have a hard pencil, just barely put the pencil on the paper to draw the line. You need to draw the lines 100% erasable. And actually, before I do all that erasing, I'm going to switch pencils and I'm going to go over all the lines that I want to keep. That represents a completed first drawing. Sorry that the mailman seems to have upset my dog. Okay, so we have nine boxes. 3 above my head, 3 below my, oops, I'm missing a box. All right, 3 boxes above my head, 1 lined up with the vanishing point, 3 below, 3 on the horizon line. I also expect you to do the best you can to erase the lines that shouldn't be there. And I want a nice clean looking drawing. Okay, and that's 1-point perspective. So now 2-point perspective. I'm going to start out once again with my hard pencil, if I've got one. I've got a fresh piece of paper. And I'm going to insert a video right now where I talk to you about 2-point perspective and show you some boxes. Okay, so last time we were talking about this. Now we're going to talk about 2-point perspective. That's where I rotate the block to the right or to the left, and you're no longer looking at it straight at this surface here, so I've rotated it. Now if I put this directly in front of your eyes, you can see this side and this side. You can't see the top or the bottom, but you just see this side and this side. You see 3 lines, 1, 2, 3 lines, and 3 vertical lines, 1, 2, and 3, and then 4 vanishing lines. That's 1 over here, 1 over here that are vanishing off to a vanishing point over there, and these 2 right here that are vanishing off that direction. No matter where I put this on this horizon line, it's always the same. As long as it's not above your eye level or below your eye level, you should only be able to see this and those vanishing lines. Now, as soon as I lift it into the air, you can now see three sides, because now you can see the bottom and these two surfaces here. Two surfaces and a bottom. And all the way across the top, you can still see the three surfaces. 1, 2, 3. And if I bring you below, you get the same situation, because now you can see the top and the two sides. No matter where it is along this bottom here, you can always see the top and two sides, until I get too far out of your range, in which case you can't see that side. Okay, so that was kind of neat. Now we kind of understand the difference between 1-point and 2-point perspective. We're going to go ahead and do 9 drawings here as well. With this drawing, we're going to do the same thing where we do a horizon line down the middle of the paper. I'm going to draw a little darker than you should, because I want to make sure the camera's picking it up. This is the hard lead. You should draw as light as you can, because it's easier to erase. Now this is 2-point perspective, so there's going to be 2 vanishing points. One over there on the right hand side, and one over here on the left hand side. 2-point perspective. Okay. With 1-point perspective, you remember you started out with 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines. With 1-point that was 1-point perspective. With 2-point perspective, you're going to start with a single vertical line. So I'm going to start with one right in the middle of the paper. This is at eye level. I'm going to draw a single vertical line. Okay. Now I'm going to draw 4 vanishing lines. 1. Once again, I'm not going to draw these all the way to the vanishing point, because I'm going to be erasing some of them later, but I am going to make sure that they line up with the vanishing point. Now you may think that I'm not going to notice it, but I've got a pretty tuned eye in terms of whether or not this is heading in the right direction. If you're not careful, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to notice that your lines are off. Okay, so 1 vertical line, 4 vanishing lines, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, and then 2 vertical lines. 1 here, and 1 here maybe. Could be pretty much anywhere, but they need to be nice and parallel to the side of your paper, making them vertical. Okay? Now, that is what you're going to see when it's at your eye level, because you can't see the top of the box, you can't see the bottom of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and draw all the boxes on the vanishing line first. You should be taking your time, doing a lovely job. So we have 3 boxes on the horizon line. Okay. Okay. I'm going to now draw a box over my head. So this is like right in front of my eye and up over my head. And so I'm going to draw it up here in the sky. Same thing. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to follow the same process here. I start with 1 vertical line and then 4 vanishing lines. 1, 2, 3, 4 vanishing lines, 2 vertical lines, and then 2 more vanishing lines. 1 from there, and 1 from there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take a darker pencil here and darken that so you can see it. So in 2-point perspective, there are 3 lines vanishing to the right. 3-point perspective, when you can see all 3 sides of the box. There are 3 lines vanishing to the right. There are 3 lines vanishing to the left. and 3 vertical lines. Okay, I'm going to fast forward as I draw the other 5 boxes. Okay, so this represents the requirements for a 2-point perspective. Okay, so we have 9 boxes, 3 across the top, 3 across the bottom, 3 on the horizon line. Each one is drawn correctly. I want to show you what it looks like when people do this wrong. Most commonly, this is the thing that they do wrong. People tend to do this part correct, and then they seem to be confused at this point and they draw something along the lines of this. Some reason people do this, where the top makes no sense at all. What you need to remember while you're doing 2-point perspective, actually while you're doing all perspective drawings, is that every line is specific, has a specific requirement. It is either vertical or horizontal, or it is vanishing. It's one of those 3. Every line you draw is either vertical, horizontal, vanishing, for the purposes of all the perspective you're going to be doing for this drawing. Okay, and there is 2-point perspective. For 3-point perspective, I've done something a little odd here. I've taken one piece of paper here and I taped on a second piece of paper at a different, rotated it. I'm going to flip this thing over. And I'm going to insert a video here to talk about 3-point perspective. For 3-point perspective, I have my son holding a board on the deck. I want you to notice that this is basically looks like 1-point perspective because we're looking at it straight and square, where you have the 2 vertical lines and the 2 horizontal lines. However, if I move myself into this position right here, where I'm looking at this thing from way down here on the ground, hopefully you can notice, I'm going to lie down on the ground here. I want you to notice that those lines, the right and the left-hand side are no longer parallel to each other. They are no longer horizontal lines. The width on the bottom is wider than the width on the top because they are in fact vanishing lines, vanishing somewhere up in the middle of the sky. Now the same thing could be done if Jasper were to step down here and actually set that down on the ground, so set it all the way down the ground. And if we come up real high, same thing could be said. If I come as high as I can, it vanishes down into the ground somewhere. Now, this is most obvious when you're looking at a, hold on, I'm gonna have Jasper turn this on me. There you go, just let the board go. This is most obvious if you imagine that you're flying in a helicopter and you're looking at a building and you're way up high above the building and you're photographing a building. The sides of the building are gonna look like they're vanishing down into the ground. All right, so that's going to be an interesting bit of a challenge, huh? To try to make something look good in a 3-point perspective.
I was somehow able to fit it.
Okay.
It'll be a hard challenge to reseal it, but...
All right, I'll just cut out this whole section of video.
Didn't you stop video?
No, I'm recording right now, but that's okay. I'm going to be editing all this anyways. Okay. So for 3-point perspective, I'm going to make a really high horizon line. Actually, I'm going to put the horizon line, yeah, I'm going to put the horizon line really high, and I want you to do the same. And the horizon line, once again, you should be using the hard pencil and not pushing down as hard as I did. There's a horizon line. This is your finished drawing up here. This one's going to be taken away later. You're only going to be drawing on this paper here. I'm going to do the 2-point perspective thing where I put these 2 dots there, just like I did the last time in the 2-point perspective drawing. I have a horizon line and 2 vanishing points. Now the third vanishing point I'm going to put way down here. It's going to be kind of tough. I'm going to put it down at the bottom here. And I'm going to go ahead and just put a big old X there because this paper is going to get thrown away in the end. Okay, we're going to follow the same rules we did last time, except for the vertical lines are no longer vertical. The vertical lines are always going to be heading to this spot right here. I went and retrieved a longer ruler. Now you don't actually have to have a ruler at all. I provided my art students with a ruler, but really all you're needing is a straight edge because we're not doing any actual measuring. So if all you've got is this ruler, then you're going to have to make do with that and make sure you're pointing as best as you can. But if you have a longer stick or a longer ruler, that is useful. All right, so I'm going to start out by putting my pencil on the third vanishing point down here, and I'm going to find a spot, and I'm going to draw a line. This time around, I just want you to draw 5 boxes. Okay, you're going to start with what last time was a vertical line, and this time is a vanishing line to the bottom here. Okay, so last time it had to be vertical. This time it needs to be vanishing to this spot here. Then you're going to do the same thing you did last time, which is to draw 2 vanishing lines to the right, or left as that is. That's my left. And 2 to the right. And then you'll remember last time you were going to draw 2 vertical lines, but instead this time I'm going to draw vanishing lines that vanish down towards here. You can see they go all the way down to that vanishing point right there. So 1 on the left and 1 on the right. Go to this vanishing point down here. And then, just like in 2-point perspective, you need to finish off by going 1 to the left or 1 to the right and 1 to the left. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and darken that so you can see it. So we've got 1 heading down here and 1 heading down here, 1 here. And these are all vanishing lines heading to that vanishing point. Then we have 3 vanishing lines that head to this vanishing point, starting with that one and that one and that one. And then 3 vanishing point lines going off to the left. 1, 2, and 3. Now I want at least 1 of your 5 boxes to go over your horizon line. So we're going to start one way up here, heading directly towards the vanishing point in the bottom. Here. Okay. That was your first line, which I drew with the dark pencil. But that's fine because that's the original line, which isn't going to change at all. I'm going to switch back to the hard pencil as I draw once again over here and over here, over here, and over here. And then I'm going to draw, and I'm going to switch to the soft lead because I know where this line is going to begin and stop,
because it's going to go from this vanishing line to that vanishing line, and then over here, same deal. I know where it's going to begin, and I know where it's going to stop. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw in, I'm going to darken in those two lines there. One there, and one there. One there. And one here.
Okay, now you need 5 rectangles somewhere on the paper. And I'm going to have at least one of them that is above the horizon line. You can do more than one. I'm going to do another one above the horizon line because I find those ones to be interesting. But you just have to have at least one of them that goes over the horizon line. They're actually easier to draw because they involve less lines. Because you'll see how you can't, because it's above the horizon line, that means it's above your eye level, you can't see the top. That means less lines to draw. All right, 3-point perspective. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. 2 of them are above the horizon line, so I can't see the top, but on your drawing you have to have at least one. The highest priority, the thing that you need to have in mind and keep in mind the entire time you're working is that all lines you draw have a specific requirement about them. They either need to be horizontal, vertical, or vanishing. The problem you're going to have is that you're going to make these lines vertical, or something like vertical, but not really vertical. You're going to rely on your general sense of just kind of trying to figure out what it's supposed to look like, and you're going to draw lines. But what you need to be doing is drawing very specific lines. On this drawing, 3-point perspective, all lines should be heading to a vanishing point of some sort. There are 9 lines right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 3 lines that are heading to the vanishing point down here below somewhere. There are 3 lines that are heading to this vanishing point. That's 1, 2, 3. And there are 3 that are headed to this vanishing point. That's 1, 2, 3. All lines go to a vanishing point. Okay? All right, so I'm doing this on Monday, by midnight next Monday, which is, if I look at the calendar, looks like that's going to be the 11th, I believe. Yeah, today's the 4th. So by May 11th, I need to have drawings submitted to me either on Google Drive, or if you are one of my art students, you can submit it otherwise in the different ways that you've been submitting your work in the past. I need you to take a nice clean photo from directly standing right over. I don't want it at a weird angle like that. I don't want you to take a picture of it like that where I can't really see it very well. It needs to be straight down. You're looking at it. Nice, clean, clear photographs of your 3 drawings. Each paper is graded up to 10 points, which means that your grade is out of 30. However, I will give you up to an additional, we're going to say 3 points per page if I think that I'm looking at your work and I think it's just really very clean. You've erased everything, your lines are exactly where they're supposed to be. I'll give you up to 13 points. But for work that looks like what you see in front of me, I'll give you 10 points. There's a lot of issues with what you see in front of me. I did not keep it very clean. I've been working kind of quickly. I have not done a good enough job to get 13 points. but I've done a good enough job to get 10 points. I want you to notice how one of these boxes is overlapping another. That doesn't matter, that's fine with me, as long as they're all drawn correctly. I chose to erase those two little lines right there. I'm okay with you leaving them there also. As long as all the lines are drawn correctly, that's what you're looking for. Nice, clean paper. I want a nice, if you want 13 points out of 10, I want nice, clean paper. All the lines are exactly where they're supposed to be. You've erased all the lines that you don't want. You've made a nice, clean, even, all the lines you have on there are all the same shade of graphite. Nice, clean, finished, professional looking work will get you up to 13 points per page on this assignment. I'm not going to be checking this work and then telling you about it and then checking it again and then telling about it and letting you adjust it and change it. I'm only going to grade this once. I'm going to grade this next Tuesday, so I'm going to grade this on the 12th when I wake up. You have until then to get this work done and turned in to me. Once again, you're going to submit, for those of you in TEA, you're going to submit this to me in your TEA folder under assignment number 6. This is T assignment number 6 is what you're going to write this down as. You're going to create a folder that says T assignment 6, put that in your Google Drive folder and submit to me 3 photographs of the 3 different pages. Okay? All right, there you go.